Hey, Mayor, how are you?
Hey,
Hey, Mayor.
how's it going?
All right, we're still trying to get it together, so we might be a couple minutes
Okay.
because we're still getting legislation in,
Yeah,
budget
I just
adjustment.
saw it.
Yeah, so we got.
I haven't read it,
Oh,
FYI.
you got so many.
Huh?
You got so
I
many.
didn't know y'all had some.
Oh, yeah.
Roby just brought me some.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Because I called him because I couldn't find any this weekend.
Really?
'Cause
Wow.
I only looked at Walmart though.
It's cool. Okay.
April 6, 2026, approximately 5:28 p.m. Tonight we have two budget adjustments for consideration. The first budget adjustment is a resolution amending the 2026 municipal budget as regards to the police department. If you turn over here, the total budget adjustment is $150,000. This amount is coming from within the police department from salaries. It is going to various line items within their department, auto purchase, technology, jail fees, repair and maintenance for shoes, and boots and subscriptions. We have a motion to second to send this budget adjustment to the full council to be passed. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, let me know by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Ayes have it. The second budget adjustment that we have this evening is a resolution amending the 2026 municipal budget as regards to the 2025 year-end budget adjustment. This is coming from all departments within the city. Speaking with finance director, she's saying that basically this balances out any discrepancies within each department. Most of them we try to cover most of those within their own departments just to get a zero balance. I have a motion to second to send this budget adjustment to the full council to be passed. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, let it be known by saying aye. Any opposed? Ayes have it. Budget adjustment to the full council to be passed. Do we have any other business or ways to move?
Wait a minute, they brought it? They brought it.
I have a motion to second, we are adjourned.
Ordinance resolution.
Nobody else has it?
Yeah, one ordinance. Item number one, ordinance, you have it. item number 1 is up for first reading. 2, 3, 4, and 5 are all resolutions that will be completed on tonight. Before you should have a resolution amending the 2026 municipal budget as regards to the 2025 year-end budget adjustment. If added to the agenda, this will be agenda item number 6. Is all on one accord? Okay. The next one, a resolution amending the 2026 municipal budget as regards to the police department. If added to the agenda, this will be agenda item number 7. Everybody on one accord? The next one will be a resolution authorizing the street department to destroy outdated and unused records. If added to the agenda, this will be agenda item number 8. Everyone on one accord? The last one will be a resolution authorizing the Rotary Club of West Pine Bluff to install and maintain a peace bowl at Pine Bluff Gardens. If added to the agenda, this will be agenda item number 9. Everyone on one accord? Any questions for orders and resolutions? Motion to adjourn? Move to adjourn. So moved.
downtown Pine Bluff, because the buildings are old, dilapidated, and, we shouldn't tear those down because of fear of the, asbestos, those type of things, because the buildings are so old. And, from looking at the, agenda, it's showing that, I proposed it for downtown, but, from the drawings, it's showing it's like a perimeter around the city, per se. And, I was wanting some, feedback on that.
The sponsor of this y'all up? The sponsor of this legislation is Councilmember Lockett. Councilmember Lockett, do you have any response to this motion?
You said you were a proposal? Just a request, maybe. I wouldn't say proposal, but. Request? In regard to? The blight, in downtown Pine Bluff. And, the blight is a rapid plant disease caused by bacteria. So, you know, like the buildings downtown are really old, and, if they're torn down, we can have lead paint, asbestos, that type of thing, release it to the air. So, I came up with this idea. I researched, on using, different things to mask those buildings, like maybe shrubbery, trees, that type of thing. So, I was trying to get some feedback on that. And what kind of idea, because I see in the agenda, it's showing like a perimeter, not just Pine Bluff, not just downtown Pine Bluff, but the perimeter. And, I think that's a good idea. Just start in the middle and work out.
Yes, well, I haven't received your proposal. Who did you send it to?
The mayor's, assistant. Chief of staff, yes.
Yeah, we'd love to see it, and we don't have a problem working with you on whatever you may propose, but I can't make a call on it now, I haven't seen it.
Okay.
We can, once we see it, we can see how we may be able to incorporate it in whatever we're doing.
So I sent an email to the chief of staff, so she has it.
Okay, she'll send it to us, and we'll give you some feedback once we see it, okay?
Thank you.
You're most welcome.
Thank you, Ms. Martin. The next person on the list to speak is Mr. Julius Miller. Good evening, Mr. Michael.
Good evening, Mr. Councilman Resident. History is very important. I'm going to say some things, and I'm not going to put a date on it, but then I'm going to make it more relevant to the situation about number 5, which is from the urban renewal in white areas. While persons of African origin cannot become citizens, persons from local tribe who marry Europeans can obtain that status for themselves and their children. Congress approves creating the territory of Arkansas without restrictions on slavery. Little Rock passed a city ordinance prohibiting blacks from dancing without permission. Persons held in bondage are to be given lashes for violating this ordinance. Free blacks are to be fined. Another ordinance prohibits white men from gambling with blacks. Just a couple more. Pawpaws lose the last of their Arkansas lands and are forced out of the state. Little Rock forbids blacks from possessing guns, holding meetings after dark, preaching sedition. The last one I will repeat is slave Marie Jennings purchases her freedom. Besides a wide-ranging catering business, she comes to own a tavern at the Arkansas Post. Again, a little more related now, and I've mentioned before. Black women, 300,000 black women lose jobs since Trump's return. Impact will ripple throughout the economy. Since President Trump's return to office, more than 300,000 black women have lost their jobs, while employment for them has shot up from 5.4 to 6.7%. This structural inequality among black women will eventually create a huge deterioration in the entire economy as they don't consume as much. I believe we'll feel and throughout the entire economy, says Democratic Congressman Given Moore, Wisconsin, New School economics professor. So we see where during the period of time when the country, the state was formed, the woman owned her own tavern, she was considered free black. But there's something that no student that I had talked to know about. It was an act called Act 151. It was passed in 1859. And the law says all free blacks have to leave the state of Arkansas by January 1st, 1860, without a car, without an airplane, without a train. They must leave, I assume walking. Any property they had, and some of them had lots of property, they have to sell it. And if they don't sell it, we will auction it off, and half of the money or more will go to the school systems, and the other half, the other part will get to them. So now urban renewal. Now urban renewal is just urban renewal was formed around the time of the First World War. Banks refused to allow money to African Americans to buy homes, no matter what their income was, whether they owned businesses or whether they were employed, and no matter what, they wouldn't loan. So, in my opinion, a bank does not have clean hands to run an urban renewal agency. Why? You caused the problem. You caused so many African American people when I was in school, young teachers, all in high school, in college, in elementary school, that were African American, that the wooden houses with wooden steps. It wasn't until later they did. So my point is that I think we should do all that we can to get a clear understanding about whether we are rehabilitating property that's in disrepair or we building banks downtown or bank property that we turn around and use the taxpayers' money to build it and then rent it to them.
Okay.
They will never own anything.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Bob. I wish I could elaborate more.
And Ms. Adrian Hunter. It says the topic is all. With no position.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Adrian Hunter, and I'm the representing the stakeholder of this land. I'm here regarding resolution number 5. The designation of certain areas is blighted for urban renewal. Before you label anything as a blight, there is a fundamental question that must be answered. How did it become that way? Because it did not start that way. What we're seeing today is not just a policy decision, it is part of a long-standing pattern. Land is destabilized through disinvestment, environmental exposure, and restricted opportunity. Then, once conditions decline, it's labeled blighted. And that label becomes a legal gateway to redevelopment, acquisition, and displacement. That is not revitalization, that is a cycle. And this city has participated in that cycle before. Under Arkansas law, including the authority granted through Act 151, as the man stated earlier, that the statutes tied to urban renewal and redevelopment, this body has power, but that power comes with responsibility. Because those same laws are not supposed to be used to displace residents or ignore the conditions that created the so-called blight in the first place. You have received federal brownfield funding to address contaminated land, so I'm asking clearly on the record, where did the contamination come from? Which industries contributed to it? How were those funds used? And where is the proof that the land is now safe? Because residents still live here, and many are still dealing with the long-term effects of environmental exposure, including serious health concerns that have not been fully acknowledged. So again, how does the land become blighted? It becomes blighted when it is allowed to be. And when that happens, responsibility does not disappear, it simply shifts. You cannot label land as a blight without acknowledging the policies and decisions
and the actors that created those conditions. And you cannot fix it by removing the very people who endured it. Because redevelopment without protection is displacement. And when displacement happens repeatedly across generations in the same communities, it's not incidental, it's structural. So, before any resolution moves forward, I'm demanding clarity. Where is the environmental accountability? Where is the transparency on funding and cleaning up? Where are the enforceable protections for current residents under those laws? And what guarantees exist that they will not be priced out or pushed out? Because without these protections, this process does not repair harm, it compounds it. And I want this clearly on the record. This land has already been taken before through legal mechanisms that did not reflect justice. And we are not going to sit quietly while it happens again under a different name, even if it is backed by a statute. If this council moves forward without addressing these realities, then this is not redevelopment, it's repetition, and we recognize it. We will document it, and we will respond accordingly. And I just want to state this. Those laws were never intended to justify harm, conceal environmental responsibility, or to facilitate the removal of longstanding communities. And as a reminder, that Act 151, that signals you're not just speaking, you're documenting. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Hunter. Okay. Next on the agenda, we will call the meeting to order and hear from Minister Chilton Bluff of New St. James Baptist Church. We will have the presentation of colors from Pine Grove High School's the Air Force Junior JROTC. And then we will also be led in the Pledge of Allegiance by the Pine Bluff High School Air Force Junior ROTC. So right now, Mr. Blunt, will you please lead us?
Mayor, council members, please bow our heads for prayer. Kind Father, we gather here, our source of all that is good and generous, to seek guidance for the work before us. May we be reminded that those who serve are called to humility, compassion, and justice. Grant us wisdom to listen with open hearts, to speak with honesty and kindness, and to act with courage for the welfare of every community member. Help us, O God, to set aside our divisions and uphold the dignity of every person and pursue policies that protect the vulnerable and uphold the common good and preserve the freedoms we cherish. Kind Father, may our decisions be informed by stewardship of the earth, respect for human rights, and a commitment to peace and civic responsibility. Inspire us to work together with patience, integrity, and a spirit of service so that our city may flourish in safety, opportunity, and unity for all. In Jesus' name, amen. Amen.
Dismount. Colors.
Thank you, Minister Blunt. Thank you, Bluff High School Air Force Senior ROTC. Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Councilmember Mays.
Here.
Councilmember Holcomb.
Here.
Councilmember Brown.
Here.
Councilmember Lockett.
Yeah.
Councilmember Frazier. Here. Councilmember Brunson. Councilmember Denton. Here. And Councilmember Taylor.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Right now, I will entertain a motion to approve the minutes from March 16th, 2026.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that the minutes from March 16th, 2026 be approved. Any discussion? All of those who wish to vote for the approval of the March 16, 2026 minutes indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. And now we will move on to our committee reporting. We will begin with Ways and Means. Councilmember Brown, will you please deliver your report?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Ways and Means met just before this council meeting. Tonight, we had two budget adjustments. They are agenda items number 6 coming from, actually, it's the 2025 year-end budget, and also from the police department. Those are agenda items number 6 and 7. Both of those items were sent to the full council with a due pass from the committee, and that concludes my report.
Thank you very much. And next we will hear from Councilmember Holcomb on ordinances and resolutions. Councilmember Holcomb, please deliver your report.
Thank you, Mayor. We have one ordinance for the first reading, and with that ordinance, all of you should have an attachment that replaces page number 6. And the one is up for the first reading. We have agenda items 2, 3, 4, and 5 are all resolutions which will be completed on tonight. All of you should have before you a resolution amending the 2026 municipal budget as regards to the 2025 year-end budget. I move that this resolution be added to the agenda.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that this item be added, the aforementioned item be added to the agenda. Any discussion? With no discussion, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilmember Mays.
Aye.
Councilmember Holcomb.
Aye.
Councilmember Brown.
Aye.
Councilmember Lockett.
No.
Councilmember Frazier. Councilmember Brunson. Councilmember Denton. Councilmember Bailey.
Aye.
The item fails.
Next agenda item, a resolution amending the 2026 municipal budget as regards to the police department. I move that this agenda item be added to the agenda.
Second.
The aforementioned item, it's been moved and seconded that the aforementioned item be added to the agenda. Any discussion?
Yes.
Councilmember Brown?
This particular item, this is from our police department. They've been trying to get this passed for quite a bit of time now, so it would be very important if we could get this added to the agenda so they can do the work that needs to be done to further the department. That's all I have.
Any further discussion? With no further discussion, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilmember Mays.
Aye.
Councilmember Holcomb.
Aye.
Councilmember Brown.
Aye.
Councilmember Lockett.
No.
Councilmember Frazier. Councilmember Brunson. Councilmember Denton. Councilmember Taylor.
Fails. Next item.
Next agenda item, a resolution authorizing the street department to destroy outdated and unneeded
agenda? Any discussion?
I have a question, when is the date for this ready?
April 13th, and so this would be the last opportunity in a regular meeting in order for the department to be able to make this request and move forward with their shredding participation.
Thank you.
Any further discussion? If no further discussion, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilmember Mays. Councilmember Holcomb.
Aye.
Councilmember Brown.
Aye.
Councilmember Lockett.
Aye.
Councilmember Frazier. Councilmember Brunson. Councilmember Denton. Councilmember Fails.
This will be agenda item number 6.
I'll make the records.
This was 8, this will now be agenda item number 6. Last one, a resolution authorizing the Rotary Club of West Pineville to install and maintain a peace pole in Pineville Memorial Gardens. I move that this resolution be added to the agenda.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded for the aforementioned item be added to the agenda. Any discussion?
Yes.
Councilmember Brown?
On this item, we actually talked about this in the previous meeting. This is just the legislation to basically let it be official that the council is in support of this peace pole being in the Memorial Garden. That's all I have.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilmember Mays. Councilmember Brown, Holcomb.
Aye.
Councilmember Brown.
Aye.
Councilmember Lockett.
Aye.
Councilmember Frazier. Councilmember Brunson. Councilmember Denton. And Councilmember Fails.
This now becomes agenda item number 6. And that concludes my report.
Oh, thank you. And next we have Councilmember Frazier. Please deliver your report on economic and community development.
On March 19th, we met the Economic Community Development in reference to, we discussed the pre-construction meeting for 316 South Main. And the only action was the committee voted to apply for a TAP grant for the remainder of Grand Street sidewalk projects. Applications are due April 30th, but the resolution will be presented at the next council meeting. And then also, our next meeting will be April 16th at 11 a.m. if that's okay with the city. That concludes my report.
Thank you, Councilmember. And next we have the Public Health and Welfare Committee. Councilmember Denton, please report on the committee. Thank you. Next we have Public Works Councilmember Lockett, if you will please report.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The Public Works Committee met on March 31st at 1 o'clock at Old City Council Chambers. Clean and Beautiful reported that they had a great Arkansas cleanup that went well, and they're beginning their cutting for the areas. The Aquatic Center reported that the spring break swimming went well. They utilized church bands to get the young people to the Aquatic Center, and that seems to be pretty good. So we may want to look at using church bands to get young people to other activities. The street department reported on its activities, and they're doing a diverse amount of things. But one of the more important things that they reported was the training was to begin, I think, last week on the new infrared asphalt machine. So you should see this machine being worked throughout the community. We're quite grateful, for the foresight of the street department regarding this machine, so we're hoping this solves some of the problem issues that our citizens have. That concludes my report.
Thank you. And next, we have Councilmember Fells. Please report on the development and planning group.
Development plan, we last met on March 20th, we received updates, and we also forwarded agenda items 1, 2, 3, and 5 to full council. We will announce our next meeting date and time pretty soon, and that concludes my report.
Thank you. Councilmember Brunson, will you please report on the traffic and aviation committee?
Thanks, Mayor. Traffic and Aviation has not met since our last council meeting. We will schedule an upcoming meeting with the city clerk and get that out to everyone. And that concludes my report.
Thank you. Councilmember Holton, will you please report on the administration committee?
Thank you, Mayor. The administration committee will meet next Tuesday, April 14th, at 3 p.m. That's a group from now. Meeting.
April 14th.
This is going to be not the same.
At what time?
3 p.m.
Thank you. Did that complete your report?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. And finally, Councilmember Brown, will you please report on the Public Safety Committee?
Yes, Mayor, thank you. The Public Safety Committee will meet on Wednesday, which is April the 8th at 1:30 in the old council chambers, and Zoom, it will be in person in the Zoom. 1:30.
Can you repeat that, please?
April 8th, which is Wednesday, 1:30 p.m. in the old council chambers.
Thank you. Okay, and next we will move on to the proposed ordinances and resolutions. Councilmember Holden.
Agenda item number 1, an ordinance amending chapter 7 of the Code of Ordinance of the City of Falmouth, Arkansas, to add a new article, Article 7, establishing minimum standards for housing and to protect tenants from hazardous housing conditions and for related purposes, up for the first reading.
Councilmember Bells. You moved that what?
I move that we just read the title of this ordinance rather than the city attorney having to read the whole thing, just because it's pretty.
Sure.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that item number 1, agenda item number 1, only be read by title by the city attorney. Any discussion?
Maybe can you repeat what Councilman Bailey said, that it's online
Well, so let's do this, because
because somebody may not have that.
Right. So, since we're in discussion mode, then what I'll do is recognize Councilman Bells to restate his point.
So basically, I'm just moving that we only read the title of this ordinance because it would take quite a few minutes to read through it just for the sake of, our time here tonight in the audience. But this is public information, it's available in the clerk's office, so if any citizens have a question about it, please give them a call and copies will be made available.
Any further discussion? Councilman Lee.
I'm ready to prove this. Very interesting. Very interesting. Thank you for this. I would like for the citizens to get it. It's a lot, but it makes sense. And everybody can't read, and comprehend to all this.
I will draw my second.
Whereas the city council has adopted a comprehensive
codes, including the adoption of the Arkansas Fire Prevention Code, Arkansas Energy Code, National Electric Code, Arkansas Plumbing Code, Arkansas Fuel and Gas Code, Arkansas Mechanical Code, International Building Code, and the International Property Maintenance Code to protect and promote the health, public health, safety, and welfare of its residents regarding housing. And whereas, while the state of Arkansas has enacted limited housing standards for renters, Arkansas is regarded as the only U.S. state that has not enacted an implied warranty of habitability equal to other U.S. states, which would require landlords to maintain safe, sanitary, and livable conditions tenants in their real rental properties. And whereas an estimated 48% of homes in Pine Bluff are currently renter occupied, according to the most recent census data, which is higher than the state average. And whereas, for this reason, it is especially important that the property owners provide safe, sanitary, and livable conditions in Pine Bluff. Not only are substandard housing units detrimental to the economic development of the city, but they are also hazardous to the health and well-being of those who occupy them. And whereas the Arkansas General Assembly passed Act 1052 of 2021, which set forth implied habitability standards for all lease or rental agreements entered into or renewed after November 1st, 2021. And whereas this ordinance is intended to supplement existing state law and to prevent hazardous housing conditions that endanger human health and safety by establishing penalties and municipal fines for any violations thereof. Now therefore, be ordained by the City Council of the City of Pine Bluff, Arkansas, Section 1. Chapter 7 of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Pine Bluff, Arkansas is amended to add new Article 12, minimum standards for rental housing, which provides as follows. Article 12, minimum standards for rental housing. Section 7-351, tenant rights and protections. This article emphasizes certain rights that tenants have under a rental agreement wherever made for a dwelling unit located within the city. These rights do not include the entire code requirements listed under the housing code, nor does it change, amend, or alter any requirements under federal, state, or local law. Section 7-352, definitions. Building and housing code means any law, ordinance, or governmental regulation or rule concerning fitness for habitation, or the construction, maintenance, operation, occupancy, use, or appearance of any premises or dwelling unit. Dwelling unit means a structure or part of a structure that is used as a home, residence, or sleeping place by one person who maintains a household, or by two or more persons who maintain a common household and includes landlord-owned mobile homes. Property that is leased for the exclusive purpose of being renovated by the lessee is not considered a dwelling unit within the meaning of this chapter. Landlord means the owner, lessor, or sublessor of the premises, and it also means a manager of the premises who fails to disclose as required by this article. Multiple family dwellings means a dwelling designed or occupied by more than two families. Organization means a corporation, governmental subdivision, or agency, business trust, state, trust, partnership, or association, two or more persons having a joint or common interest, and any other legal or commercial entity. Owner means one or more persons jointly or severally in whom is vested all or part of the legal title to the property, or a part of the beneficial ownership and a right to present, use, and enjoyment of the premises. Owner includes, but is not limited to, a mortgagee in possession. Person means an individual or organization. Premises means a dwelling unit and the structure of which it is a part and of facilities and appurtenances therein, and grounds, areas, and facilities held out for the use of tenants generally, or whose use is promised to the tenant. Rent means the consideration payable for the use of the premises, including late charges, whether payable in lump sum or periodic payments, excluding security deposits or other charges. Rental agreement means all agreements, written or oral, and valid rules adopted under this article embodying the terms and conditions concerning the use and occupancy of a dwelling unit and premises. Rental housing unit is defined in the same way as dwelling unit in this section. Such terms include, but are not limited to, a manufactured home used as rental and a mobile home used as a rental. The only difference between a dwelling unit that is a rental housing unit is intended to be leased or rented to the occupant. A unit shall not be deemed a rental housing unit for purposes of this chapter if the owner of record shall provide to the city satisfactory evidence that another person in possession and control of the property has a contractual right to purchase the unit on a date certain for a specified price and is entitled to receive, when the purchase price is paid, a warranty deed if the unit is real property, or a bill of sale if the unit is a manufactured home or mobile home. Satisfactory evidence for manufactured or mobile home shall be a purchase plan, shall be made with a purchase plan with a promissory note or a UCC file showing an article of security interest. Satisfactory evidence for real property shall include a valid and enforceable written contract filed in the deed of records of the Jefferson County Circuit Clerk, which should contain the following provisions. Number one, a term for payment or escrow of taxes and assessments collected against real property. Two, a term for payment of property insurance covering loss or damage to the improvements on the property. Three, a term stating that the buyer is responsible for any and all repairs and maintenance necessary to maintain the structure and the premises in compliance with its code. Four, in a lease, split, and with option to purchase arrangement, the buyer or optionee pays the sale or option upfront and upfront reasonable option consideration at the beginning of the contract, which is applied toward the purchase price in the event the option is exercised, and that a portion of the rent during the term of the lease is applied towards the purchase price if the option is exercised. Single-family residence means a structure maintained and used as a single dwelling unit. Notwithstanding that a dwelling unit shares one or more walls with another dwelling unit, it is a single-family residence if it has direct access to a street or thoroughfare and shares neither heating facilities, hot water equipment, nor any other essential facility or service with any other dwelling unit. Tenant means a person entitled under the rental agreement to occupy a dwelling unit to the exclusion of others. Section 7-353, implied rental quality standards. For all lease agreements or rental agreements entered into or renewed after June 1st, 2026, and exclusive of a lease purchase or a lease with a purchase right and except when temporarily prevented by an act of God, the failure of or caused by public utility service or other force majeure in events to include without limitation any epidemic or pandemic that causes work stoppages, labor or material shortages, or requires social distancing that impacts the ability to maintain or repair a premises. There should be implied in all leases and rental agreements for residential purposes a requirement that the dwelling unit or single-family residence have both at the time of possession is delivered to the tenant, named in the lease or rental agreement, and throughout the term of the lease agreement. A, an available source of hot and cold water as required by Arkansas Code annotated 1817 2502. This implied standard is consistent with section 28-403C of the Housing Code, which requires that every dwelling unit shall have connected to the kitchen sink, laboratory, and the tub or shower an adequate supply of both cold and hot water. All water must be supplied through an approved pipe distribution system connected to an approved portable water supply. B, an available source of electricity as required under Arkansas Code annotated 1832-502. This implied standard is consistent with section 8-305 of the Housing Code, which requires the following. All electrical fixtures, receptacles, equipment, and wiring shall be maintained in a state of good repair, safe, capable of being used and installed and connected to the source of electric power in accordance with the electrical code. 2, where the determination is made upon examination of existing electrical service supply that such service supply is obsolete or is being used in such a manner that would constitute a hazard to the occupants or would otherwise constitute a hazard to the life and property, the minimum capacity of the service and the main disconnect switch shall be increased to adequately carry the total load in accordance with the electrical zip code of the city. I, the minimum capacity of the service and the main disconnect switch shall be sufficient to adequately carry total load required in accordance with the electrical code. 3, a sanitary sewer system and plumbing that conform to applicable building and housing code 23 codes in existence at the time of installation as required under Arkansas Code annotated 1824 17-502. This applied standard is consistent with section 8-403A of the Housing Code, which requires that every dwelling unit should contain not less than a kitchen sink, laboratory, tub, or shower, and a water closet, all in good working condition and properly connected to any approved water and sewer system. Every plumbing fixture and water and waste pipe shall be properly installed and maintained in good sanitary working condition, free from defects, leaks, and obstructions. 4, a functioning roof and building envelope as required under Arkansas Code annotated 1817-31-502. This implied standard is consistent with section 8-423 of the Housing Code, which requires that all roofs and overhangs shall be maintained in a safe manner and be structurally sound and have no defects which might admit rain or cause dampness in the walls or exterior portion of the building. Section 5, a functioning heating and air cooling system to the extent heating and air conditioning systems serve the premises at the time the landlord and the tenant enter into the lease agreement as required under Arkansas Code annotated 1817-502. Pest extermination. This implied standard is consistent with section 8-407E of the Housing Code, which requires that every occupant of a single dwelling unit and every owner of a building containing 2 or more dwelling units shall be responsible for the extermination of any insects, rodents, or other pests within the building premises or premises. 7, maintenance. The implied standard is consistent with section 8-3 of the Housing Code, which requires that all buildings or structures, both existing and new, and all parts thereof shall be maintained in a safe and sanitary condition. All devices or safeguards which are required by this article in a building when erected, altered, or repaired shall be maintained in good working order. The owner or his designated agent shall be responsible for the maintenance of buildings, structures, and premises to the extent set out in this article. The tenant shall be responsible for the maintenance of buildings, structures, and premises to the extent set out in this article. Section 7-354, reporting violations. Residents may report violations of this code to the City of Pine Bluff Code Enforcement Department, whose inspector or authorized representative shall promptly inspect the property for violations. If any violations exist, the property owner shall have 30 days to remedy said violation. In this section, violations of this code means A, doing an act that is prohibited or made or declared unlawful, an offense or a misdemeanor by ordinance or by rule or regulation authorized by this ordinance. B, failure to perform an act that is required to be performed by ordinance or by rule or regulation authorized by ordinance. C, failure to perform an act if the failure is declared a misdemeanor or an offense or unlawful by ordinance or by rule or regulation authorized by ordinance. D, in this section, violation of this code does not include the failure of a city officer or city employee to perform an official duty unless it is provided that failure to perform the duty is to be punished as provided in this section. If an owner does not correct the violation within 30 days or make a reasonable effort to do so, the city may cite the property owner for a fine. Except as otherwise provided, a person convicted of a violation of this code shall be punished by a fine not exceeding $1,000 or double such sum for each repetition thereof. If the violation is, in its nature, continuous in respect to time, the penalty for allowing the continuance thereof is a fine not to exceed $500 for each day that the same is unlawfully continued. If a violation of this code is also a misdemeanor under state law, the penalty for the violation shall be prescribed by state law for the state offense. The imposition of the penalty does not prevent revocation or suspension of a license, permit, or franchise. Violations of this code that are continuous with respect to time are a public nuisance and may be abated by injunctive or other equitable relief. The imposition of a penalty, however, does not prevent the simultaneous granting of equitable relief in appropriate cases. Section 2, severability. In the event any title, section, paragraph, item, sentence, clause, phrase, or word of this resolution is declared or adjudged to be invalid or unconstitutional, such declaration or adjudication shall not affect the remaining portions of the ordinance, which shall remain in full force and effect if this portion so declared or adjudged invalid or unconstitutional was not originally part of the resolution. Section 3, repealer. All laws, ordinances, resolutions, or parts of the same that are inconsistent with the provisions of this resolution are hereby repealed to the extent of such inconsistency. Section 4, publication. This ordinance being of a general or permanent nature, the clerk shall ensure it is published consistent with Arkansas law. Section 5, effective date. This ordinance shall take effect on the 31st day after its passage.
Place on the calendar. Agenda item number 2, a resolution amending resolution 3119 and 4717, moving property 2407 and 2409 South Cypress Street.
Whereas the property referenced below was included in resolution number 3319 and 4717. Now therefore be resolved by the City Council of the City of Pine Bluff, Arkansas, that resolution number 3319 passed on October 18, 2010 is amended as follows. On page 3, delete lines 1 to 3 to remove reference to property with street address of 2407 and 2409 South Cypress Street. That resolution number 4717 passed on September 18, 2023 is amended as follows. On page 3, delete lines 13 and 15 to remove reference to property with street address of 2407 and 2409 South Cypress Street. The Court of Enforcement Department will take steps to file this resolution with the county deed recorder.
Move for adoption.
It's been moved and seconded that item number, resolution number 2 be adopted. Any discussion? With no discussion, all those who wish to vote for the adoption of resolution number 2 indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
Agenda item number 3, a resolution amending resolution number 4936 to remove a property 2101 South Ohio.
Whereas the property referenced below was included in resolution number 4936, Now therefore be it resolved by the City Council of the City of Pine Bluff, Arkansas, that resolution number 4936 passed September 13, 2025, is amended as follows. On page 12, the lead lines 22 through 24, to remove reference to property with street address of 2001 South Ohio. The code enforcement department will take steps to adopt this resolution with Jefferson County Key.
Move for adoption.
Second.
Moved and seconded that resolution number 3 be adopted. Any discussion? With no excuse me? With no discussion, all those who wish to vote for the adoption of resolution number 3 indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
Agenda item number 4, a resolution approving the street department installing an angled parking design along the south side of 4th Avenue.
Whereas a tenant at 400 Main Street has requested an annual parking design be installed along the south side of 4th Avenue as noted in the attached drawing. And whereas the striping outlining the parking will be paid for by the owner, with the street department responsible for the striping and ordinary maintenance. And whereas adding the parking will be advantageous to downtown workers. Now therefore be resolved by the City Council of the City of Pine Bluff, Arkansas, that the street department is authorized to install anchor parking along the south side of 4th Avenue in accordance with the attached drawing, which is incorporated by reference. The owner requesting striping shall pay the expenses associated with adding striping for the parking, and the street department will report maintenance of the parking spaces will be responsibility of the street department under the same routine and standards as other downtown park.
Move for adoption.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that resolution number 4 be adopted. Any discussion? With no discussion, all of those who wish to vote for resolution number 4 indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
Agenda item number 5, a resolution amending resolution number 4100 to declaring certain areas within the city of Pine Bluff, Arkansas as blighted areas appropriate for urban renewal as authorized under Arkansas Code Section 14-169-601. ET is section and 14-69701
And following.
and following setting forth boundaries of the said blighted areas and for related purposes.
Whereas the City Council of the City of Pine Bluff finds that there exists in the city certain blighted areas which, among other things, constitute an economic and social liability imposing onerous burdens which decrease the tax base and reduce tax revenue substantially, impair or arrest sound urban growth, retard sound economic development, aggravate traffic problems, and substantially impair or arrest the elimination of traffic hazards and the improvement of traffic facilities, and that by prevention and elimination of the same, the property values will be strengthened, and that this condition can be best remedied by a cooperative participation of private enterprise, municipal governing bodies, and public agencies. And whereas the city finds and further declares that certain blighted areas or portions thereof may require acquisition and disposition subject to the use restrictions, since the prevailing conditions of decay may make impractical the reclamation of such areas by conservation or rehabilitation, and so that the condition and evils enumerated may be eliminated, remedied, or prevented. And whereas a blighted area is defined as follows. Blighted area shall mean an area in which there are properties, buildings, or improvements, whether occupied or vacant, whether residential or non-residential, which by means of dilapidation, deterioration, age, or obsolescence, inadequate provision for ventilation, light, air, sanitation, or open spaces, population overcrowding, improper subdivision or obsolete platting of land, inadequate parcel size, arrested economic development, proper street layout in terms of existing or projected traffic needs, traffic congestion, or lack of parking or terminal facilities needed for existing proposed land uses in the area, predominance of defective or inadequate street layout, faulty lot layout in relation to size, adequacy, accessibility, or usefulness, insanitary or unsafe conditions, deterioration of site or other improvements, diversity of ownership, tax or special assessment delinquency exceeding the fair value of the land, defective or unusual conditions of title, any one or combination of such conditions which substantially impair or arrest the sound growth of municipalities or constitute an economic or social liability, or which endangers life or property by fire or other causes, or is conducive to ill health, transmission of disease, mortality, juvenile delinquency, or crime, and by reasons thereof is detrimental to the public health, safety, morals, or welfare. And whereas the city is engaged in a program of economic development and redevelopment activities to enhance the city's capabilities for economic growth and redevelopment. And whereas the city finds that the agency identified 4 areas of the city in which to conduct a blight study to determine whether conditions of blight exist. Area 1 is defined as an area bounded by U.S. Highway 65 and 34th Avenue on the north and south respectively, Ohio Street and Hazel Street to the east and west respectively. Area 2 is defined as an area bounded by Watson Boulevard to Simpson Drive as the north border and U.S. Highway 65 as the south border, the Arkansas River, and as the east and west border respectively. No, sorry, the Arkansas River and North Birch as the east and west border respectively. Area 3 is defined as an area bounded by East 6th Avenue, represents the north boundary and south border, East 17th Avenue to Frontage Road, Ohio Street, and Interstate 530 as the west and east boundary respectively. Area 4 is defined as an area bounded by 6th Avenue, representing the north boundary, and 28th Avenue as the south boundary, Hazel Street and Oakwood Road as east and west boundaries respectively, and that each area is suffering from numerous conditions of blight, including dilapidation and deterioration, unsanitary and safe conditions, deterioration of site and other improvements, age and possible obsolescence of certain improvements and infrastructure, inadequacy of provisions for sanitation, and arrested economic development. And whereas the city finds that based on the information and data contained in the files of the City of Pine Bluff and reflected in the blight study attached here too, each area is characterized by an increasing percentage of dilapidated, deteriorated, and aging buildings and improvements that do not meet current building codes, vacant and improved properties, significantly high demolition and clearance activity, steady decline in new and renovated construction, higher than average residential vacancy rates with extremely low owner occupancy, unsanitary and unsafe conditions, including environmental contamination, inadequate provisions for sanitation, as improper subdivision, obsolete platting, inadequate parcel size, improper street layout, and lack of parking for purpose land, issues with diversity of title and crime rates. These conditions, both singly and in combination, constitute a blighted condition of arrested economic development with the statutory definition, and therefore the blighted areas are suitable and appropriate for an urban renewal or urban redevelopment project. And whereas the city finds that the existence of such conditions in the blighted area substantially impairs and arrests the sound economic growth of the city of Pine Bluff, constitutes an economic and social liability, and by reason thereof, such conditions are detrimental to the public health, safety, and welfare of the residents of the blighted areas of the city. And whereas the city finds that the city of Pine Bluff Urban Renewal Agency did cause to prepare an urban renewal plan for the blighted areas, said plan to be considered after adoption of the instant resolution. Now therefore be it resolved by the City Council of the City of Pine Bluff, Arkansas. Section 1, the city finds that based on the information and data contained in the files of the City of Pine Bluff and reflected in the urban renewal plan attached here to Area 1 is defined by an area bounded by US Highway 65 and 34th Avenue on the north and south respectively, Ohio and Hazel Street, east and west respectively. Area 2 is defined by an area bounded by Watson Boulevard to Central Drive and the north boundary in US Highway 65 at the south border, the Arkansas River and North Birch as the east and west borders respectively. Area 3 is defined as an area bounded by East 16th Avenue, which represents the north boundary and the south border of East 17th Avenue to Frontage Road, Ohio Street, and Interstate 530 as the west and east boundaries respectively. Area 4 is defined as an area bounded by 6th Avenue, representing the north boundary, and 28th Avenue as the south boundary. Hazel Street and Oakwood Road as east and west boundaries respectively, and are hereby declared blighted areas appropriate for urban renewal and redevelopment under Arkansas law. Section 2, redevelopment of these areas is hereby deemed necessary in the public interest for the public health, safety, moral, and welfare of citizens of the area of the city of Pine Bluff.
Move to adopt.
Moved and seconded. That resolution number 5 be adopted. Any discussion? Councilmember Frazier.
Okay, and maybe, I don't know all, what Frontage Road, is that our street? I'm looking on Area 3. I know there's Frontage Road in Little Rock, but, is there one here? And I'm looking at the area here, I don't see it on this map, unless I'm looking at it wrong, I want to make sure. I know sometimes we use, other, ordinances or resolutions to, draft the bars, so I want to make sure that this is not an error. Can someone help me with that? I'm looking at, yeah, this area 3. I don't see it on this map. I know there's a frontage road in the middle of it.
There is a front street.
I don't see it, and I can't say something I don't see. And like I said, I know there's frontage road in Little Rock. And my other question is, this says a resolution amending resolution 41 covering, certain areas within the city, but it's on a page, the second page says, to conduct a blight study, so it's to conduct a blight study, or are we already done the study?
No, I think
Because we're doing the same thing that we did on the area, me and Lisa, going back towards, our, is that what we're trying to do here?
well, it's given many, so the issue is the totality of what's being done with this particular legislation is expanding areas they currently working into new areas. One of my found when we created the urban renewal agency was that we defined initially about three or four areas. But my issue was that most of Pine Bluff was not included in the area. And it was said by the being executive director of the urban renewal agency that they would come back to the council and include other areas of the city to be included in the urban renewal plan. Now, once they designate, and this really may speak to this more specifically, once they designate areas for development, then they must come up with a plan to be presented to the council on what is to be done in those particular areas. And usually that necessitates some funding from a grant source that would allow them to do that. And then from that plan, I believe they would begin to work. Ms. Griffin, could you explain what the expanded areas encompass in terms of work that would be presented to the agency?
Expanded areas are just what you said. They're expanding into all 4 wards. We had 1 ward that was not represented. The urban renewal area, that was Ward 3. It's being expanded now to be able to address blight and redevelopment. This is something that the urban renewal board, we have discussed on many occasions, and now it's time to take action. Because if there is some funding, grant funding that's available, we want to be able to address all 4 wards.
So my question is, in this, we're going to,
Councilmember Frank.
I'm sorry, I apologize. So my question for you is that, on that second page says blight study, that's something that's going to be conducted once this is approved, or is something that's already been done?
Well, actually, to my understanding, before there was a windshield survey done. So the area has been identified. It was just not in the original plan, and now it's being enacted in the original plan. It's being implemented.
Then my only last question that really has me concerned is approving something with this same frontage road and there is no
I
frontage.
believe there is a frontage road.
It's not on our thing, I Googled it on my phone to see if it can come up, so I don't
Not far
know.
from our real estate community on that, but if a correction needs to be made as far as determining if it's frontage road or front.
Because when I look on area 3 that you all have here, I don't see anything that says, I don't even see it on the map that we got. I have no problem with it, I just don't see.
Councilmember Green.
This is the very reason not to renew my paper. Because we say we do not agree, looking for this stuff, looking for answers to this. I've already put no, because the whole thing really doesn't make any sense when I read it. I mean, it's like, it's a bunch of words to try to put together. You know, 10 pages, 10 pages, at least 10. It's not making any sense, and that's the very reason I put no on this paper. Because the things like this right here, you're looking for answers, now you should already have. It. When I read this, I'm like, what in the world? And y'all sit up here and vote on this stuff. No one know what is that. Now, when we look at something now, y'all looking for, I already put no on my paper.
Councilmember Brown.
You already put no on my paper before we got to this day. I knew it was gonna come to something like this. No.
Councilmember Brown.
Yes, sir. What you got?
Is it possible for us to pull this down and down, and I think
Oh, that speaks fine for me, if that's the, council, you know.
I do see here where it does say permanent locals regional park. Regional park.
Regional Park. I just wanted to make sure we're.
Any further discussion? Councilmember Bell?
At this moment, I'm really not comfortable with supporting this resolution. I did just want to, clarify the point because some residents may question that. I did receive feedback from residents a while back ago, and a lot of them were saying, we might not be the biggest fan of URA, but we believe they should complete some of these major capital improvement projects that they've started and the funds have been allocated for. But based on a lot of feedback that I am getting, I don't believe that most of my constituents are comfortable with allocating new funds to jumpstart a new demolition program. Now, I understand that the resolution for us tonight, that's not allocating funds, I do understand that, but I do believe that the ultimate objective of expanding these URA borders is so that in the future, the city would have an opportunity to commit matching dollars for that. I know that's what was discussed in our DEP committee meeting recently. It didn't make it to the full floor, but I'm assuming there's a chance that might just come back in the future. And I think that if we allocate any additional dollars towards demolition, which I'm all in favor for, I've advocated for that since I've been here. I think that those funds should go to our code enforcement department, and I think that the code enforcement department should manage it. I think that this would just be duplicating what the department is already doing. And I just think that based on a lot of the feedback that we've had around this agency, it might just be best that we pause the demolition program for now to focus on expanding that to code enforcement while they get some of these other projects completed out. So that's just my reasoning for this, but I do appreciate the spirit of the resolution, and I know that this has changed from the initial draft, so I appreciate that feedback was taken into account. But that's just where I am right now.
But this doesn't actually start up the demolition program. What this does is expand an opportunity for grant funding, if it's out there to be seen. And it expanded to all 4 wards. I think the comments that were made previously by some residents is that it didn't cover all 4 wards, and this would actually do that. And if there is any grant funding that's available, all 4 wards can be distributed equally and actually utilizing all 4 wards instead of the 3 wards that we currently have.
Any further discussion? Councilmember Murphy?
I mean, I'll be glad with y'all disagree. See, because we can, y'all tell me what the city council with y'all. No, let me finish, man.
I don't think I'm trying to do what the city council is doing, but we're trying to enhance them,
Y'all trying to do the city council, y'all always say that. Y'all out of order. Y'all out of order. The citizens can't see what you all are doing. I see it, look closely. And this is a bunch of paper. It's basically what it is, a bunch of paper. Bunch of confusion on paper.
Council, yes.
Yeah, I just want to say this now, guys. I'm just saying that I tell my people all the time, these 9 people up here don't have all the answers. And I welcome any help that might contribute to something positive in this town. This particular resolution doesn't allocate any dollars. It doesn't create any kind of policy other than saying that these people who work in cooperation with the urban renewal area can seek grants that might be able to expand the positive footprint. And so what I'm saying is we are too challenged with our dollars. We don't have enough tax dollars. So if there are people out there that can bring something to the table, my whole thing is once we approve this, they gotta come back to us with something that says we have some dollars that might be able to do some progressive blight removal in these areas. And I welcome that. And the city has still full oversight. If we don't like the way that they're doing business, we can pull them to the side to say that this is not the way we're gonna do business. We can add some value to it by taking some of our CDG dollars and our economic development property and collaborating. Now, the thing that we ran into with the urban renewal from the previous administration, many of us didn't feel that we were involved enough. And my thing is that going forward, every meeting that urban renewal has, they send me an email. Now I choose not to go because I don't go to the other quasi-public entities such as wastewater, the airport, or the art center, or any of the other situations which this agency that this body has created. So that's my thing, but it's not like they don't invite me. And that's my thing. So many people don't understand there is an urban renewal board. 90% of the thing they task us as a city council with doing, it's really their board. That if you have an issue with the way they do business, take it to their board. Now, we don't mind as a city council if you bring it to us and we go to their board, but there's another layer of supervision and that's going on. Long story short, my support is just based on this doesn't add anything but capacity for an agency to do work that we empower them to do.
I like the word collaboration. That's exactly what it is, collaboration.
Any further discussion? I do have a couple of questions, and maybe it's to Councilmember Lockett, the sponsor. We heard from a resident, and I really haven't thought about the perspective that she shared in terms of the impact of defining an area as blighted. And it just made me think about some of what has been discussed and shared as far as the previous survey that was done that Director Griffin mentioned, as well as all of the dynamics that the resolution mentions, the condemnation activity, the crime, the owner occupancy, and some of these other dynamics that are described. I'm wondering, is there a map that outlines or data that was used from code enforcement so that we can see where the condemned properties exist so far in the city? We know that there are about 500. There were 500 when this the plan and when urban renewal was created. There's still 500, and we know that 500 in the pipeline. Do we have a plotting or any data that suggests where the need actually is to justify carving out another area? I guess would be my first question.
I mean, that's way beyond my pay grade in terms of trying to assess the building by building.
Well, not you assess it. I'm wondering if as you sought to sponsor this legislation, was there any such information made available to you that served as a basis for you doing this at this time?
No, my basic justification was funding this was only opportunity. Opportunity that other people that may be in the business of doing economic development have input into trying to find opportunities via grants and other types of support to do development in these areas. The rationale for why these areas were chosen in the way they were chosen, I don't have all of the, nor do I seek to find all the nuances in why they chose them, but there's a method to the madness. And that's what I'm saying, that by working with the urban renewal people, we can get some of those answers. But what I'm telling you,
do we know what that method is? Because the only thing I'm thinking about is what that resident mentioned tonight. And I don't know that I would want my house incorporated in a blighted area per se. If, from the perspective of a resident, unless there was data to suggest that there would be development that followed action, as Director Griffin mentioned, that would follow, so that it's not just my neighborhood, my block, my ward is considered blighted, but then nothing follows. And I guess my follow-up concern would be that there is no existing funding right now. And even if we're looking at the possibility of funding, I'm wondering, would it be more appropriate to use data and expand this at that time versus putting that label on an area without the data. That's all I'm suggesting. Without the data, without existing funding, and no activity or action taken in at least 2 years, how do we explain to the people that we want to, prior to receiving data, say we want to say that your area is blighted too?
I mean, what I'm saying is, my vision when we created the urban renewal agency, I wanted to declare the whole town as a blighted agency, because most of our community is where you drive in any ward has something like. But I was told that one couldn't declare a whole city as an urban renewal area because the law specified that you had to carve out parcels block by block.
That's based upon certain data.
So you couldn't really do it, but now man, we need help in this town. It's like everything. We really just pulling their hairs about saying that we are creating some kind of emotional.
No, that's emotional
for our people. What I'm saying is that now I'm just be honest with you. Now I don't believe Ms. Griffin and the people that she worked with put this together so they would fail. I really honestly believe they know of the blight in the areas that are designated to the point that they could write grants to get that funded.
But I'm not suggesting that. All I'm saying is, what is the data? If we're putting it together to expand this area, to define it as blighted, all I'm suggesting is, do we have, and maybe I should just ask you, Director Griffin, does that
for the existing urban renewal area where there is a map, it does identify properties that are revealed by the city of Pine Bluff, and the ones that have been actually removed by urban renewal. There is an existing map where that was done, and being that this section here is not part of urban renewal, I did include it to say so many properties within that area are condemned. So it wasn't part of
I'm not talking about what has been condemned, I'm saying eligible for condemnation. How do we express to people or even prospective grantors, this area needs help, this is where we want to spend the money. We have 500 condemned properties, and 20% of them are over here in this area that we have not included. Does that data exist? Is what I'm asking.
No, because that area has not been identified, so I didn't plot anything for that.
So then what was the basis of the creation of the map that's being proposed?
How to include Ward 3, because that has been an issue for comments that have been made that all 4 wards were not represented. There is blight within that area, so that was identified through the windshield survey. That was done originally.
So it is in the original survey, the data is in the original survey.
Yes. But as I said, we only could do certain. We couldn't do the entire city, in other words, so the areas that we chosen as far as what the urban area.
Is that survey available so that it could be shared? Can I suggest that you share that with council members in the mayor's office so that we can see where this came from. Sure. Thank you. Any further discussion? Councilmember Mays. No, it's not being pulled. The sponsor did not ask to pull it. Any further discussion?
I just want to clarify, so this legislation is not for us to actually do anything physically, it's for us to be able to identify the area that we're going to look at as private and to be able to apply for it, not to physically do something.
Correct, because there's no funding.
Councilmember Mays.
I know that y'all sit on some paper. I know how you're wrong. It's in the text. We're not gonna let y'all sit on some paper, but we're gonna forget about it. In the midst of everything going on. We're not gonna forget.
No, I hope it's not forgotten about.
Well,
I hope that we're able to come back and we can get some type of funding to be able to do something. That's the goal.
we need y'all some paperwork. So, watch what you want to do. Go ahead and do it. And that's not right. I mean, that's like, giving out a blank check.
Any further discussion? No further discussion. All of those who wish to vote for resolution number 5 indicate by saying aye. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
No.
Councilmember Holcomb.
Aye.
Councilmember Brown.
Aye.
Councilmember Lockett.
Aye.
Councilmember Frazier.
Aye.
Councilmember Brunson. Councilmember Denton. Councilmember Fails.
No.
No.
Agenda item number 6, a resolution authorizing the street department to destroy outdated and unneeded roads.
Whereas Arkansas law permits municipalities to destroy outdated and unneeded roads more than 4 years old. And whereas the street department has identified these roads maintained in its office which meet the criteria for construction and desires to dispose of the document. And whereas no good reason exists to continue to maintain these records, and the street department should be authorized to destroy them. Now therefore be resolved by the City Council of the City of Arkansas, the street department is authorized to destroy the records itemized in the attached list dated earlier than the first 2021. These records have been maintained under requirement or are outdated and unneeded. No record is required to be maintained for more than a period other than a provision of law shall be destroyed. The destruction of these records shall be witnessed by a representative of the mayor's office, the street department director, and a member of the council public works committee shall each sign a sworn declaration as witnesses of the
Move for adoption.
It's been moved and seconded. It's been moved and seconded that resolution number 6 be adopted. Any discussion? With no discussion, all of those who wish to vote for item number 6 indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
Agenda item number 7, a resolution authorizing the Rotary Club of West Pine Bluff to install and maintain a peace pole in Pine Bluff Memorial Garden.
Whereas the Rotary Club of West Pine Bluff has generously offered to install a peace pole in the Pine Bluff Memorial Gardens, which is located immediately south of the Civic Center complex. And whereas the pole installation is an initiative of Rotary International and intended to spread messages of peace across communities. And whereas the pole will display the message, "May peace prevail on earth," in multiple languages, and is intended to promote the universal desire for global harmony and understanding. And whereas the pole will be installed at an agreed location in Memorial Gardens during a public ceremony in the upcoming weeks and will be maintained at no cost to the city. Now therefore be resolved by the City Council of the City of Pine Bluff, Arkansas, Section 1, that the Rotary Club of West Pine Bluff is granted permission to enter upon the area known as Memorial Gardens for the purpose of installation of a peace pole at an agreed location and to from time to time perform necessary maintenance on the pole. All expenses related to the installation and maintenance will be borne by the club. Section 2, the installation ceremony will occur on a date agreed by the city and the club and will be open to the public.
It's been moved and seconded that resolution number 7 be adopted. Any discussion? With no discussion, all those who wish to vote for passage of resolution number 7 indicate by saying aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. With the conclusion of the agenda, we will now move on to announcements. Announcement number 1, draft day. Southeast Arkansas, the Economic Development Alliance for Jefferson County, in partnership with Be Pro, Be Proud, will host Draft Day Southeast Arkansas on April 7th at Pine Bluff Convention Center. This event connects high school seniors with employers based on their interests, talents, and workforce needs. Currently, 115 seniors and 17 school districts are registered to participate. Announcement number 2, Golden Hour Puzzle Event, ages 50 plus. Adults ages 50 and older are invited to participate in a Golden Hour Puzzle event as part of our ×3 program. Participants may work independently or in teams in a relaxed social setting. The event is free, but registration is required by Tuesday, April 14th. To register by phone, call 870-536-3375. Announcement number 3, Saturday Family Fun Day, Over the Hedge activity. Saturday Family Fun Day will include a screening of the animated film Over the Hedge, followed by a hands-on craft activity. Children will create hedgehogs using their handprints through tracing, cutting, and decorating. This event is free and open to the public. Announcement number 4, Dialoguing with Delta 2026. Dialoguing with Delta, an annual educational event for students from elementary to college, will take place on Saturday, April 25th, 2026 at 10 a.m. at the Arts and Science Center for Southeast Arkansas, located at 701 Main Street in Pine Bluff. The event is hosted by the Pine Bluff Alumni and Delta 8 chapters of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated, in collaboration with the University of Arkansas at Pine Bluff School of Education. Registration is now open for individuals and groups. Announcement number 5, Business Expo 2026 and breakfast. Business Expo 2026 will be held Thursday, May 7th, 2026 at the Pine Bluff Convention Center. The Business Expo breakfast begins at 7:30 a.m., followed by a VIP hour from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. with the expo open to the public from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. Booth fees are $250 for members and $360 for non-members. Breakfast tickets are $25 for members, $30 for non-members, and $300 for a table of 8. For more information, call 870-535-0110 or email jennifer@jeffersoncountyalliance.com. So, in the past couple of months, we have been announcing that we would like for people to contact the city, contact the mayor's office for the CART retrieval update. And in the interest of transparency, I want to share that what we have been doing in that time is trying to gather a list while we work with Waste Management to help them collect the carts, which is what they promised to do to you, to us. And we came up with a plan, and of course it is at a cost, not our cost. And so while we still have not come to an agreement with them, what the city will do so that we can complete this and move on is we will move forward with our plan. We will collect the carts according to that plan. We will continue to take your information, and not one dime of your dollars will be spent on doing something that was not the responsibility of the city. How we get to that negotiation and that resolution will rest with my office, but in the meantime, we will continue to work with you. So with that, I ask that residents who have waste management carts, please do contact 870-730-2000 extension 7. This month, we will begin picking up the carts. We will be sending postcards to every residence. We will be using our social media, website, platforms. We will be using our newspaper, the commercial, and any other opportunities to use earned media to share the information that you need to know so that we can pick up your cart within the next month or so. We will stay in touch with you. We thank you for your patience. And the last announcement, many of you may have read and seen that our newspaper, the Pine Bluff Commercial, has been purchased. And while you will not continue to see it included in the Democrat Gazette because the owner purchased it from the Democrat Gazette, our paper has returned to our city. And so I wanted to share what the owner and publishers have shared with me. Number one, my understanding is all of the staff have been retained and been offered retention bonuses, and I thought it was important to share that so that people understand that the owner of the new paper is committed to continue with the quality and the staffing that has existed, and that they will produce a weekly physical paper. It will be free for at least the next 30 days, possibly 60 days, while they work on the subscriptions. It is also still available online. So I just wanted to share that because that is our paper that will be provided to us. And it's important that we have that. And with that, I have no more announcements. Yes, it is. Good news. Good news. So I will adjourn, and then we will hear from residents who have signed up to make public comments on the non-agenda list. I mixed it up in all this paperwork, sorry about that. Okay. So I will entertain a motion to adjourn. It's been moved and seconded. Without objection, we are adjourned. We have two people who signed up to make public comments on the non-agenda items this evening. The first person is James Hill. Is Mr. Hill still with us? Good evening, Reverend.
Since City Council, and I'm a whole as a body. My name is James Hill Jr. I am here about issues about my family history, when it was a village, when it was, grandma said, River Valley, when it was a village in 1839. After that, the Cherokee in Salem at 2106 West Bluff approached that property back in 2022, and my grandmama, she owned that property, given by her great grandmama, this full blood Cherokee. They had demolished the property, and they started in the 35 level in my daughter's name. And I didn't have no knowledge of it was going to be demolished, but the year before that, which was July 28, 2023, I had a letter started telling me about things that I had on the property, all the curves I took out, and I straightened it up and got back with respect to right and showed him that it was done. And after that, a year later, it's demolished. So I'm here about issues about the previous administration. I thought I had that taken care of, and I just got a property tax, and I got a $2,700 bill on my property tax, and now my property is in delinquent, meaning it's almost at the state. So I want to, see can I get that resolved and wonder what went wrong.
So, first of all, are you addressing all of us, or just?
Yeah, no, you were, this was previous administration. This happened during that administration. And I came here before about it, and I thought it got taken care of, but now I still have this $2,000, $700 bill on my.
When did you receive it?
Well, I just received it yesterday, in the mail.
I'll say this, I don't have any specifics on what happened, since it's something that has been ongoing since prior to 2025. We'd be happy to work with you to see if we can help you, because you know what I mean, without having any information, I don't know what to say to that, and of course, we would see if there's something that code enforcement could do. But it sounds like what you're saying is that it's in delinquency and it's about to go to the state, which is separate from the city.
Yeah, and it's what have been about to care of, because they trying to certify that in my daughter name, which is probably why you could be lawful, could not certify that to a minor, saying it was on.
Just to get clarification, I'm sorry. Just to get clarification, did you get that letter from the city or did you get it from the state?
It came from the city. That's when they tore it down. They said they sunk a level in her name. But I had this when they sunk it. And I had told them, I'm the owner of the property, but all my kids' names I put on that property as well. I don't know why they sunk the child name.
So the over $2,000, is that from a lien that was placed on the property?
They tore the house down.
Okay.
City tore the house down.
Now clear.
Yeah, city tore the house down. And it wasn't demolition. I took everything out, cleaned it up, boarded up and everything. And they talking about it was on there when my grandma had her name, they was gonna tear it down because the house got burnt up. And it wasn't burnt that bad. There was a lot of mix up, and I went to Mayor Washington about it, said with her and everything, and I thought that, a lot of stuff would get cleaned up. But all I was saying, I was worried about, I just didn't want, that whatever they're gonna charge for knocking it down on something they shouldn't even knock down at the beginning.
We'll sit down and see what we can do. Have you talked to your council member or council members about this?
Yeah, I both my council members about this problem. Yeah, well, I thought it was resolved, I got that deal.
Was there anything, did either of you hear from anyone particular, either from code enforcement or the mayor's office, to say, we're getting this resolved?
No, I didn't hear nothing like that. I even asked Bobby about it once before to be checked to see. So I remember he said something, they was having money that was going to help the one that they tear down, they can use that money. And I was at one of the, I think it was one town hall meeting, it was something like that. So I brought it to his attention, like, did y'all ever take care of that, if we use that? Because I was a victim on something that I had no knowledge of.
Councilmember Phillips?
So could we, number over directly to the staff workers that we spend on code enforcement? Some of them are wrong, it's just to go over everything, get it straight and figure out this.
Yes.
Thank you.
Oh, Ms. Martin. Kelly Martin, who is, wants to speak on the topic of curfew town.
Yes.
4.
Yes, I just wanted to bring to you all that this is just April. We just began April. We've had a lot of crimes, murders committed by these young people in this city. Right now, we have countless number. They just arrested like 4 guys for murdering somebody at a gas station or something. So this is getting to the point that a lot of innocent people's lives are being put in danger by these young people. Yeah, we have a lot of old fools out here committing crimes, shootings, that type of thing. One just happened a few hours ago by an older gentleman. But I'm talking about these kids, young people. We need something put in place. We need to find the parents, somebody. We need to follow back up on this curfew. The previous curfew, I think, was said like 9 or something to like 5:30 in the morning. We need to start back enforcing that. The police have enough on their hands. That time can be allocated for something else. But we need to do something to get these young people in the house. If they want to kill somebody, they kill each other while they locked up in the house together.
No,
but we don't want that either. But right now, we got a lot of, I'm not saying it, I'm just saying it, but they need to be in the house. And we don't need them in the streets putting the police and the rest of us in danger. They need to be at home, and the parents need to know that, okay, if my child get out here and do something, they need to, be fined with something. We need to do something. It's not even summer yet, and all these killings going on. We gotta do something. That's the only thing I can think of. Curfew. We need to work on getting the curfew back in play. I know the police have a lot to do, a lot on their hands, but we gotta do this curfew. I can't think of nothing else to do.
So first of all, you are not alone in your concern, and I have had numerous conversations myself, and I'm sure others have too. I just contacted Chief Davis about this very issue. Oh no, I ran into one of our lieutenants and asked about this issue, and found out, I was going to talk to you about it, we found out we do have a curfew. We don't have any kind of fining system in the state or locally. And what I want to assure you of, though, is that we are doing more than that. It's not just that one thing. And the thing I think that we have to be mindful of, and I know you have young people and then you have juveniles, and 18 and over and under 18. Our young people under 18 have not been involved in shooting or being killed. That's number one. Number two, it isn't just young people. If you look at the data, and Chief will support this, Several of the victims and perpetrators of these violent crimes are in their 30s, 40s in particular. Certainly too many across the board, no matter what age. But this is not just a problem with young people. The other thing is several of these are issues stemming from domestic calls and domestic violence. Earlier this year, there was a murder of a young woman by her partner, and here, and we just saw one in Whitehall. This is a broader issue, this violent crime and homicides, and it doesn't just affect Pine Bluff. One is too many. We are working on it. We have seen positive results. We know that the spike is something we all recognize. I promise. If you're looking at it, I promise you we've been looking at it many, many times over. But I do want to tell you that we do have a curfew in place. We also have to be mindful that many young people work at night and don't get off until 11 o'clock or later on weekends, depending on where they work, especially at fast food restaurants. If you pull up to any fast food restaurant, many of the people that you see working inside there are young people. So those are the kinds of things we have to be mindful of. We also have to be mindful of the fact that many of these parents who are struggling. Many of them are doing their jobs and working. Many of them are grandparents. So those are the kinds of issues that we have to deal with and be mindful of while we do figure out some things to do on the preventive side, but also addressing crime in real time and crime solving. All but one of the homicides that have been perpetrated this year have been solved. Our department is working hard to hold those accountable, but we're also working hard to prevent. And I promise you, we are considering all the things that we can do and all the tools we can use in our toolbox, but we do have a curfew. Councilmember Mays.
Thank you. Good questions. I should work with you now. And you not notice, well, left down here, the crimes are being committed by younger people, up to age 9 and 10. I mean, they're leaving their homes, going somewhere, and parents don't know where they are. Now you got a 10-year-old that don't know where they are until they get arrested. Then you got to take them to the juvenile court. You can't arrest them right off the bat, so you got to put them on paper. And while they're on paper, they're committing crime. So actually, the parents does not have adequate control of the kids. I'm telling you. What I saw when I was there. We need a Crump doing a good job with the task force. He needs some help. He needs help.
Councilmember, we fully funded and fully staffed GBI, just FYI as a reminder.
I understand, but it's bigger than Pastor Crump. It's bigger than
I was just responding to what you just said. I just want to make sure that since we're talking to people, residents, that they have the facts.
Yeah, I know.
Okay.
That's fact. But
All right.
bigger. We, as a village, as a city, you see some kids walking at night.
Right.
I mean, report this stuff and tell it. Right now, when you saw them, because that's the next one, they're going to go break somebody's car, truck, or something else. But they're going to see something outside. Most of them can't keep their hands to themselves. They haven't been taught that yet. And that starts at home.
Most of our kids are law-abiding and are not
Well, I
getting
can
in
say all of
trouble.
them.
You said some, yeah, but you said most. And I just have to correct when I hear something.
Well, I said most.
That is,
Not all of them, most.
Yeah, most of them are going to school every day, they're at home, and they are not outside walking down the street at night. Most kids, most 8, 9,
See, you
10 year
gotta
olds,
understand.
most 11, 12, 13-year-olds are at the house.
Most of them see stuff. A lot of them see stuff and can't keep their hands off of it.
Okay. Any further discussion? Councilmember Denton.
It's not quite already big, but Chief Davis and Chief Pump, I want to thank you for all that you do. You may not be respected by the citizens, because you know how they don't respect the police officers. But I want to thank you personally for all that you do. It's not an easy job out there on the streets, but I thank you.
I know it's not easy, but ma'am, I didn't say.
No, I'm not talking to you. I was giving them, I was thanking them.
I gave them kudos.
All right, here, I'm done.
They do.
I'm done. But I want to thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you, everybody.
I ain't say y'all want to do y'all job.
Good night.